If you're an adult riding a Honda CRF110, springs are going to be the #1 upgrade, or one of the first things you want to do to this bike. We've already done the heavy duty springs in the front along with the damping rods. That's a separate how-to video. Today we're going to be taking care of this rear shock. You can see this BBR spring is quite a bit thicker than the stock spring on there. It makes a huge difference, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than buying a complete rear shock. We've already ran one of these springs on another bike, and the damping still feels great. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We already have our shock off the bike, but if you need to do that, just pull your side panels off along with that seat, and then there's only 2 bolts holding this in place. It's real simple to do. Now to get the spring off, I recommend using a vise with some soft jaws. We're gonna clamp this eyelet in the vise. We do have some spring compressors, but the stock spring is not that hard to compress on your own. And if you push it down, you can see that clip right there. So you can use a clip tool or a pick if that's all you have. But I'm just gonna press that down by hand since it's not that stiff, and pop that clip up. So we'll slide that up and out of the way. I'm just gonna completely remove that clip for now. This collar is not gonna come off. All you can do, slide that up as far as you can. We're going to flip the shock over. You can see that bumper right there. That's what happens if you don't upgrade your spring and you're an adult riding this. The shock can bottom out real easy and wear that out. So from here, what we need to do, I'm going to press that collar down. This flat piece, this is a nut right here, and we're going to unscrew the eyelet from the shock shaft. So I'm just going to put that in my soft jaws. I'm just going to take a big crescent wrench and loosen this up. So once you have that broken free, it still might be kind of hard to unscrew because that shaft is going to have Loctite on it. And eventually that nut is going to bottom out on the shaft, and you might feel it kind of lock up. And then you can go ahead and unscrew the eyelet the rest of the way. And then from here, this nut is going to be tightened against that shock shaft. So we need to break that free. And we're going to do that just using these Tusk suspension soft jaws. We're going to use that 10mm opening to hold the shaft. So with it clamped in there, it shouldn't be too tight. So we got that to break free. So now I can remove that nut, remove the shock from our holder. Now if you don't have soft jaws, you can still get this nut off. Some people are just holding the shaft with vice grips. That's normally covered up by the bumper, and the seal on the shock is never going to go down that far. So that's another option if you want to go that route. But from here, we can go ahead and remove the collars, our spring, and I'm just going to leave that bumper on. Now for the new spring, you can see we've actually had this installed once before, but with this collar right here can only go on one way. It can't go backwards. So you know it goes in the bottom. This slides right on. You're gonna have to push that past the bumper, and we've got that metal collar going on there, just like that. And then if you wanna spray these threads off, you can clean them off with contact cleaner and a wire brush. Just make sure you have that old thread lock off of there. Then we can take that nut, and you'll notice one side of this nut has kind of a beveled edge to it. That was facing the collar, so we're just going to reinstall it the same way. And if your threads are clean, it should go on all the way, but there's a possibility you might have to use those soft jaws again, clamp it down, and get it tightened on all the way. And when you clamp this in, make sure all the threads are exposed. So we're all the way down right there. This stuff is green, but it's just high strength thread lock. Sometimes it'll be red, depends what brand you get. We've got that on there, so now we are ready to install our eyelet. And you're gonna thread this on until it bottoms out. You can use your crescent wrench to get it on all the way. So I'm bottomed out right there. I'm gonna leave this wrench on here, make sure it doesn't move. Now I can back the nut up to the eyelet and tighten it down. Then with that tightened down, we'll remove the shock. So I press the shock down just to get the bumper a little further down. I'm gonna move it down all the way and slide the spring down. And then this eyelet, gonna clamp back in the vise and the soft jaws. Now with that clamped in, if you're feeling really strong, you might be able to press that spring down far enough, but for everyone else, you're gonna need a spring compressor. We're actually using 2 of them. They come in 1 kit. Just 1 on each side, tighten the spring evenly, and then install your clip. Now just keep in mind, anytime you're dealing with spring compressors, make sure you're wearing safety glasses. There's a lot of stored energy in here, so use caution. So I've got that groove exposed. Gonna push that down. You're gonna hear this clip into place. Just verify that it is all the way in the groove and seated. You can even spin it on there just to verify. So that is looking good. I can back the spring compressors off. Once you have that spring swapped out, you can go ahead and reinstall the shock back onto the bike. For us, we're giving you a little bonus, so you can see on our bushing, that collar inside of there, it's a little loose and that bushing's worn out. So we need to replace it. We just got one of those bushings from the OEM diagrams on our website. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this out. There's 2 ways to do it. You could use a couple screwdrivers and silicone spray and get that to kind of collapse it and pop it out. We're gonna use some sockets today. So I've got a 15 millimeter that I'm gonna use to push that out into a 22 millimeter socket that we're gonna use to support the shock eyelet inside our vise. There we have it right there. Got it out. You can see it's kind of has an arc on the inside. That's what holds the bushing in. I'm just gonna help this out going in. Little silicone spray, and I'll press it all together. Now we can go ahead and reinstall the shock back onto the bike. When you set the shock in place, if the eyelets aren't completely lined up, you can just turn that part of the shock until it does. So that's how you install the BBR Rear Shock Spring on your Honda CRF110. If you have any questions about the process, leave those down in the comments. If you need to pick one of these up or anything else for your bike, whether it's the front springs or just maintenance items, we have all that stuff on our website. So go check it out or just click the link in the description below. We offer free shipping on orders over $75. So take advantage of that and subscribe to our channel for more helpful content. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.